You mentioned the word fears. When I talked about culture as another factor in enabling this, you talked about some fears as well. Expound on that a little bit if you can.
So there are rational fears and irrational fears. An irrational fear would be a doctor who says, I don't want to have to use a computer. I'm going to retire because those computers are so scary. And that happened. There was a huge wave of retirement with electronic health records. The rational fears coming from patients, I look at, one of them is, you're going to harm me. That's a rational fear. We look at tailored therapy and low quality efforts, and we saw hormone replacement therapy created off of real world evidence. And it's, for a lot of time, doctors prescribed women in menopause hormones, for many of whom there was no benefit and there was an increased risk of cancer, meaning people died based on that. If we look at COVID, early real world evidence in COVID led to publications in New England Journal and Lancet that suggested it wasn't that dangerous. People went out based on that information that they believed from scientific sources. And some of those people who went out caught COVID, and some of those died from that. There is a real risk of bad evidence making it into the system, changing the standard of care, and harming patients. Another real risk is that people's information will be used inappropriately. Identifiers attached to their information sold on the open market, so that now an insurer can know about a patient and change their behavior based on that, or a researcher that shouldn't have access to an individual's information and name will know this patient has cancer. This is a real fear that we won't handle privacy and security well as a industry. And these fears have to be openly discussed and addressed. This ends up on the front page of the New York Times relatively often now. And we want it to end up on the front page as healthcare is doing good and using data appropriately to make your life better, not people are selling your data without your consent and potentially causing you harm.